All righty. Good morning. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to Snow Talk. Good morning, everybody. Hello, Sean, Angie, Sandy, CK, and I think we have somebody here from Idaho. Did I see that right? Wow. Well, welcome aboard wherever you're watching from on this Tuesday morning. Wave meteorologist Brian Good. Welcome to Snow Talk again on this middle of the week here. Not a bad setup this morning. Pretty sunrise, right? Clouds will rule the day, though. Our main headline in the short term is going to be wind. And then we get into this messy setup where we got some rain on the way. Data, even this close to the event, though, is starkly different. And this system is only like 36 hours away. So we'll talk about that. And now there's a bit of snow involved in that. And then we'll get into a little bit more of the extended outlook as well. Let's start with the snowboard first. We'll knock that out of the way. There's that brief mix for your Thursday that is showing up, Thursday morning. This will likely be before the morning commute, though. Sunday night, perhaps yet again, another chance to get a brief mix, mainly north. And then March 5th to the 6th, we'll go rain or snow with that for now. Leaning more toward rain. And then I do think after that period, we will get into thunderstorm talk. Storm talk will be back once again, the way it's looking anyway. All right. We'll break this all down for you step by step. As always, you guys can comment on the social media side, Facebook, X, Twitch, and YouTube. A lot of you always watch it on YouTube. All right. So currently outside, we got 25. I know it's been cold out, but not as windy, right? Not as windy now. Thank goodness the wind is a little lopsided today and heavier or stronger later today and not so much in the morning. Otherwise, we'd have another very cold setup of those wind chills this morning. But with the wind not as strong, it's not too bad out, right? I mean, it's cold, but wind makes a difference. Makes a difference. 24 into Fort Knox. Hello, Salem. You're coming in at 26. Now, you're not seeing the wind ramp up yet, but you see signs of it right there into Illinois on the other side of the Wabash. So, yes, as we evolve through the afternoon, we will get stronger wind gusts. And it's going to be one of those setups, too. This also continues to be lopsided, and that will be the wind will remain gusty all the way through the night tonight. So if you have those wind chimes out the window, you will likely hear those several times through the night. The plus side to that is it will keep us from dropping much at all. I mean, nearly a 20-degree difference on temperatures from this morning to what we'll have tomorrow morning. So a little easier to walk out the door tomorrow morning. Now, granted, it still will be windy. So while we're looking at 40s, you'll actually get a wind chill. So dress for 30s. And you'll be ready. The wind gusts outlook, in fact, for this afternoon, closing in around 30 miles per hour to get into that more of that hazy, partly cloudy type of setup. May relax a bit, but it does, again, stay elevated all through the night ahead. Below advisory level, by the way, we don't see anything that strong, but the winds tend to be a little stronger than what the data indicates. That's very common, especially for all the international. So it won't surprise when we get a few 30, 34s, something like that, that we'll see today and tonight. But again, to be fully expected. So don't think there's severe weather on the way with that setup. Okay, so here's the latest look at the satellite from space. You can see the mid to high deck outside. It is flying overhead. It's not very low, so that's why these are not rain-producing clouds. They're pretty high up. But they do block the sun. So hazy sunshine down in many areas, but you'll be mainly overcast throughout much of the day today. Not a lot of blue sky today, unfortunately. Meanwhile, to the northeast, well, everyone knows about this, right? The big snow. You can now see it from space, though, lighting up on the ground from the Delmarva Peninsula all the way to Maine there. The snow is showing up. It'll get a little bit brighter as the sun gets a little bit higher up in the sky. The storm is way off to the east now, but after producing the not only state record for snow, if it holds at 37.9 and around Providence, Rhode Island, but it would be the biggest snowstorm in this entire region ever. That's pretty stark statement, right? I mean, this is like one of those things that you just witnessed history happen yesterday in the weather books. Now, can we beat that again next year? Who knows? I mean, the next system could do that. You never know that. But it was nearly a perfect storm, though, to get that type of low pressure to form and deepen like that offshore and not right against the coast. I mean, everything came together. If you want a textbook nor'easter, that was it. But again, setting records. I don't think the records will go past Virginia, though, because North Carolina, no. Mount Mitchell was 50.1 inches, and that was from the superstorm of 93 did that. So I know the record stopped roughly around Virginia and the nation's capital there. But still, I mean, to set a record in the Northeast of your biggest snow ever, that's saying a lot, considering how many they've had of nor'easters, right? All right, enough on that. I'm not going to bury you on that topic because everyone's seen so many photos and storylines on it, right? So that's the snow shower still developing. But what is this? What? Yes, another system is moving into the Great Lakes, and it is heading there to Rhode Island and Massachusetts in the next 24 hours with another batch of snow. This is about a 1 to 4 inch ordeal that'll move in, so they won't even notice. They won't even notice. But it's not the only one. There's one right behind that. So they could get another round of snow in a few days that'll be on top of that snowpack. So this is going to take a while. My only fear, now they are a little close to the coastline, so not as much of a worry if it was more western PA. But, I mean, a lot of this is going to eventually have to melt, right? They got a lot of ice jam issues going on in the Northeast right now, a lot of the rivers from the really cold period that we had in January. I mean, they had it a little longer than we did. So now that it's trying to melt at times and then freeze back up, and eventually it'll melt, and then we're going to get maybe some heavy rain down the road. The signal is growing for that for the Northeast. That is not a good recipe. So while it's all fun and games now for snow lovers, the impact that this blizzard may have on the terrain and life and property later, it could be a little more substantial. So that's the worry, that we'll just have to take it slow. But you don't want to warm too fast. That's for sure. Hopefully it's a gradual warm up in this area, and they can just kind of easily get rid of all that snow without any major problems. For us, though, this is going to stay north of us. It could give us a few sprinkles tomorrow morning, mid-morning, about this time, actually, tomorrow morning. Otherwise, we'll go back to blue sky tomorrow afternoon. But it's scooting on by. But it is the reason why the wind ramps up today, is it moving by our northern side there. The next system will be lined up for Thursday, Wednesday night and Thursday. So let's get into that. Now, I'm going to show you our in-house model. And before I do, I think what it's doing with the chance to get some snow out of this is fair. So that's why I'm showing you it. But on the rainfall side, I want to exercise some caution that either it's going to win a big battle here, or it's just way out the left field. You'll see why in a second. All right, so here we go this afternoon. You see the lines in the clouds. That is the constant wavy motion of the clouds up and down the atmosphere to create those little lines in the sky. You'll see them overhead today, but it's a sign of turbulence. So not a fun flying day, that's for sure. It's going to be a little bit annoying. But tonight, we stay cloudy, and we get a little bit of light rain that may form as that little batch of snow heads back to northeast tonight and early tomorrow. It, again, could squeeze out a few raindrops. Not going to rule it out, but it doesn't have a lot of time to scoop up a lot. And it's really far north. When low pressures are that far north, they can't get the right wind angle. Everything's a little more west, southwest, not exactly straight from the Gulf. So direction matters. So in this case, it can't really scoop up a lot. So you got to look at it that way. And therefore, the rain chance is very limited, very early tomorrow morning. And then we should, again, go back to blue sky for a few hours anyway, tomorrow afternoon. That'll get us in the 50s. So tomorrow, still breezy, not as strong of a wind I see for this afternoon tonight, but it still will be breezy tomorrow. And temperatures will be warmer, nearly a 10-degree jump. So not a bad looking setup for Wednesday. It may not look that way in the morning with the light rain drizzle in a few spots, but it will improve. Okay, but temporarily, because our next system is right on tail. So this is where the model kind of goes in its own little corner here. We're going to get the first little leg of this to break out some rain and maybe a little bit of thunder on the southern edge of that. I wouldn't rule that out around Paducah. This is at 5 in the morning, Thursday. This is a crucial time period, is that 5 to 7 a.m.-ish window for Thursday morning. As this moves in, there is just enough cold air on the northern side to where if it arrives and there is still either the darkness of night or the sun hasn't really been up for long for daybreak to really allow the slight temperature rise there to take place, you can get a burst of snow. This will be a wet snow if you're along US 50 and you're around, say, Carrollton. and 71 corridor to Cincinnati, your odds are a little bit better to get a burst of wet snow. Maybe a brief accumulation, but from what I can tell from all the data I've looked at too, most of the temperatures in this area will be about 33, maybe 34. If you get to 32, even then, you're not going to get icy roads. You're just going to get a wet, grassy snow. So very brief, because we will eventually get warmer air after 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. You get daybreak, even though it's not sunny. The energy from the sun this time of the year, getting a higher sun angle, does have an influence, and will be just enough of a difference to allow for it to be rain. But the problem that this particular run has, and I don't know again if it's a problem or it's going to score, is the idea we're going to get some heavier rain that will try to break out as the morning evolves in southwest Kentucky and around Evansville. That will move east. This particular model, here we go at 8:30. That burst of snow showing up mighty well there in southeast Indiana, Dearborn, Ripley County, Switzerland County area into Cincinnati. And then the rain breaking out. And it's showing a good batch of moderate rain to heavy rain, in fact, in central Kentucky with, yes, enough cape. If you see a little red showing up, there's a little cape there for thunder. Nothing severe, just thunder. Why do I think this is potentially an outliner? Well, most of the other models, in fact, just about everyone, besides this one, is only showing a few spotty sprinkles or a patch of drizzle that moves in, and that's it. There's not much. The system just looks like it dries up completely as it moves in. Huge difference in patchy drizzle and a half inch, an inch of rain. So let us trend this today and see, because this had an update. This particular model did recently. And so it's done fairly well on a lot of other factors that we've noticed since that update happened. So is it seeing something that the others cannot fully see? That's a good question. So we're going to work on that today, and we'll let you know if there's any adjustments to it. But as of now, there's more data against the scenario than for it. And again, don't worry about severe weather. It would still keep, even with a lighter drizzle idea, it still does keep, most of the other models do, that idea of a brief mix north. That's still on the table either way. So it's worth mentioning, but it's not going to be a lot. And we're entering that time of the year, guys, where rate is going to matter now on snow from here on out. Rate is going to matter. As you saw yesterday, that 3 to 4 inches per hour. Yeah, well, hopefully, I don't know, maybe you do want that. And this is SnowTALK. But it would take a fairly heavy rate of at least 1 inch per hour in many cases to overcome ground conditions this time of the year. So that's going to matter. If you get anything lighter than that, yeah, most of this will be just snow you see falling, but not do much on the ground level. This is one of those that really will have a tough time. The rate's not very intense, so it's got a limit. And I do think, too, if we get some heavier rain and thunder into Tennessee, that, too, may influence the rain portion into central Kentucky, because it will block some of the deeper moisture flow trying to get into Kentucky. So that could be a factor that the other data is seeing, but this model's not. So stay tuned. We'll update you guys on the trends on this today and tomorrow. Fair enough? All righty. It moves on by and then scoots off to the east. It's out of here by the afternoon commute on Thursday. Most of you will be, the roads will likely still be wet, but as far as anything heavy falling or anything like that, all the data shows that it's out of here by then. So this is really just a Thursday morning issue that we got to watch. Okay, so that's it for the system all the way into Thursday. Any questions on that? Not a big ordeal, but it's not a lock yet, just because it's interesting to see this sticking out like a sore thumb this close to the event. So I really want to figure out what it's seeing. So there's more diving I got to do on that. What'd you say, bots? Bring on the 70s. Dave and Jean, yeah, bring on the 70s. There you go. Snow down the road. Yep. Snow down the road. Nothing major, though. Nothing major. We can handle that. Okay, so after this, what happens? Well, first off, let me show the Euro. This is by the way, your typical rain snow line. Whoops. Let me move that. Right across southern Indiana. So that's fair. This is the Euro, and it's got a fair placement on this, being across southern Indiana and northern Kentucky. It does show that little burst of snow happening right there into southern Indiana and up 71. And it's actually not too bad. It does have the red indicating some cape. So, yeah, there is a chance still some thunder in southern Kentucky and Tennessee. That's there. But the gap in between, I'm a little not as sold on. It rarely do you have heavy rain north of that kind of a setup. When you get rain and thunder, and then you get heavy rain north of that. And then, yeah, that's a little unusual. at that angle especially. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Okay, it passes on by, and then we get ready for, I hope you guys are ready anyway, even you snow lovers, for what looks to be a really nice setup for Friday into Saturday. It may be a little breezy. I'm not going to rule that out, but we are going to be in a good Goldilocks spot here as we head into the start of the weekend. Temperatures mid 60s. I was just taking a little sneaky peek into areas of most recent data for Saturday afternoon, and some of it's trending a little closer to 70. So we could get a nice little bonus day here on Saturday. No doubt, plan your anything you got outside for 70. All right. Sunday, though, the problem is this is a strong high. And we got two of them, by the way, coming back to back. This is the first. As it sinks down, it will try to drop down temperatures as we head into Sunday. Now, the Euro, not as aggressive with that. Some of the other data takes it all the way down to I-40. That is absolutely going to be a key part in how Sunday night's snow chance comes into play, because you're going to have a system that is going to be thrown into that cold Arctic high. If it's north of us toward I-70s where it puts the brakes on, yeah, there's nothing to worry about. This is going to be just a little bit of light rain again Sunday night into Monday. If it does go far south, and cold air again is heavy, so it's worth watching. It's all about the block ahead of it here, whether or not it can slow down and deepen, or does it become a little more transient. Small differences in that setup downstream impact this by a good 150, 200 miles. So we're not quite there yet. We got to give it a buffer zone. So that's why it's on the board, and that's why the chance is still there until we get a little more data on how far south this high will sink for Sunday night into Monday. But my point in that is that Sunday does not look as nice. The only way we could score a entirely a good bonus weekend altogether is that if this high were a little bit slower, then that would give us another day in the 60s on Sunday. But most of that indicates it'll get here too fast, and we should see a drop of clouds increasing on Sunday. Okay, so it moves on by. Actually, the Euro is still, with it being the more northern idea, it still wants to give the mix into our northern counties again. Southern Indiana up 71 for Monday morning. Again, I don't know if we'll get below freezing, but we may get to the point of being close to it to allow for us to at least watch it. This one's got a little bit more of a kick to it, so maybe a little bit more of a higher rate. That will make a difference too, as I just mentioned, on how this will play out. So it moves on by. Otherwise, it'll be rain for the rest of Monday into Tuesday. We'll warm up enough because, again, it will be a transient Arctic blast that'll move off to the east. So it won't stick around for about 12, 15 hours. That's it. And it's already moving. So that will allow us to warm back up. But look at the flow yet again for the Southwest. And this is going to be interesting too. I haven't had a chance to talk a lot about this, and I will in the coming days. But we do have a pretty big drought going on just about everywhere else in the country but here. We're one of the few exceptions. Well, now the Northeast. But this flow coming in from the Gulf this season, still a question on how that may influence severe weather season. Sometimes we get a lot of our higher dew points, especially when the trees try to leaf out. If we're in a drought, pretty significant one too, in our southern and southwest sections here, it'd be interesting to see what happens, because we will be heavily relying on the Gulf to send moisture northbound. But if it can't get here, it dries up in that air into the mid-south area, it may have an impact on severe weather season this year. Interesting setup. I've seen this before. I can't remember when it was. I want to say 2011, maybe 2017, one of those 2 years. I remember that, where we had a similar setup where that the drought choked our season on severe weather, which was not a bad thing. But it may be a factor this year. We'll see. It really just depends on how much rain they get, obviously, the next few weeks before the trees and everything turns green here and leaves out. If they stay dry, that's going to be a problem. But if they leaf out, then maybe they'll have enough time to, or they get some rain here that may save the vegetation, and we're back on track. Okay, but anyway, this little wave here, very, very positive tilt, slanted, moves in. Again, boundary sinks in for Monday and Tuesday, maybe part of Wednesday. And then another, here's high number 2, strong one. This one does show a much more of a steep angle to it. It really dives down after giving the Northeast yet another round of snow. They're going to be happy up there. Snow lovers anyway. But this one's so strong compared to the first one of the two that I think it may be cold and dry. It may shove any moisture potential way down to the south again. So it'll be the same ordeal coming out of this. The system's going to be thrown into it. So That's why it's on the snowboard for this date. Is I can't rule out that another system may run into that and could begin as something wintry, like we're going to see several times this week. So possibly. But just after this, you can't see it, but this eventually will become a system that I do think bears watching, that can become a thunderstorm maker for portions of at least the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, as we head into that weekend. So just out of range, but something that we are watching. Okay, now I was trying to get in the longer term data for you all that came out from the Euro, but unfortunately it did not load. I thought it did, but it didn't. So I will say, and I'll show you this tomorrow, but I will say that it is showing a fairly warm mid-March period, but it is dropping the hammer again on temperatures for near the first day of spring to the end of March and early April. April especially has a fairly cold look to it, early April. So the snow chances remain in the extended showing up. Now, they're still intertwined with warm spells, so they're not locks on cold and staying cold. I think it'll be very off and on. But if I were to sniff out a period that we really probably will have one more last gasp from winter, and that may be it for SnowTALK, it'll be the very end of March and early April, the way it's looking. I know, pretty late this season, right? So let me show you the 10-day as it stands now, and I get to some of your questions. 40s today, staying in the 40s tonight, 50s tomorrow, again, with drizzle in the morning, sun in the afternoon, and then cloudy again. With that mixed potential north into early Thursday, we get a beautiful setup for Friday and Saturday. We love that. Sunday, we drop again, another mixed potential Sunday night and Monday morning. And then we're back into the 50s. And we'll just see how much we're going to drop it at the end here of the 10-day. We got 59 in that Thursday, but that can literally be 20 degrees colder than what is shown there. It could be, depending on how fast that second strong high drops down. So expect some changes on the 10-day at the very last couple of days, especially. And it may happen day to day, which is not surprising. Okay, what questions can I get to you? Todd's going to the Bahamas. Oh, lucky. End of March. Have fun, Todd. Have fun. That water's going to be cold, though. It's usually the case. The best time to be in the oceans, or at least especially the East Coast, into the that section of the Bahamas, is usually late summer and into about Halloween. That's when it's really nice and warm water, but it's going to be chilly. But you already, I'm sure, know that. Temperatures may be warm, but the water may not be. Hey, J Max, I heard you had a turtle. Do you want mine? I don't want it anymore. There are several turtle sanctuaries, I believe, that are in Wave Country, so I will look those up. J Max, unfortunately, I'm maxed out. I have several water turtles and a tortoise, but I do not have the ability, and I don't want to take on another animal and not be able to fully care of it. So I don't want to do that to the animal. So, but there are sanctuaries available that you can Google and look up. That hopefully will take care of them. So please do that. Don't just set it free or set it to the side or anything. So look those options up and let me know if you have trouble, and I'll do what I can to help. Fair enough. I'm maxed out. My water turtles, by the way, did come up the other day. Gary, No Name, and Michelle, a little ahead of schedule, about 3 weeks ahead of schedule. I don't know if that's a good or a bad sign, but they did come up briefly to say hello. So they survived the core of the winter yet again. And Gary's getting up there. Gary's probably 15, 16 now. He's getting up there. Chris, the 30-day CPC. Let me see if I can show you that. I think it's loaded in. Let me double check. I'm sure it's showing warm because what CPC's got to do, they have to do the odds of getting at or above normal over the entire 30-day window. Okay, so you got to keep that in mind. Hold on, I'm trying to read my... I think this is it. Now, don't pay attention to the banner. It probably has the wrong. Yes, it's December. This is actually the outlook, though, into March, showing warmer than average. But again, that's for the entire 30-day if you were to balance it all out. I mean, January, really actually February, it's used February. We start off at 5 above the beginning of this month, wind chills 15 to 20 below. We made it to 72, 71. This month, last week, in fact, and then we got back down again to the teens this week. So, but we're averaging out close to like barely below negative for the entire month of February. But you probably would think, well, it seems like it's been colder than normal, but it's all about the averages. So those outlooks are a little harder to look at when you get into the transitional time of year, Chris. It's harder to rely on those versus the core seasons of summer and winter. They're a little more reliable, but spring and fall, a little tougher to go by those. Hope that makes sense and helps there. Hey, John, if you had to give the occurrence of heavy snow between now and April 15th, what would it be? Ooh, you corner me, John. I would say 20%. It's not very high, but that probably is a little higher than the average. I'm sure it's higher than the average. I would give it 20% for now. And I'll try to show you guys a little more of the data tomorrow on why I'm saying that. And that may make a little more sense. Not ruling it out. This year is a very odd one, as you guys know. But what makes it even more of a challenge is we're going from La Nina to El Nino. So we don't necessarily know how the upper air pattern will react to that because it's already happening. We already see it in the Pacific. So we don't know how that transition of the two will work in tandem. So we'll keep you updated on that. But I think this year it's going to be a little harder to shake winter than normal. Johnson, great. Less than 50%. Yeah, less than 50% for now. Not ready to get rid of SnowTALK yet, that's for sure. All right, guys, I hate to run, but I got several things I need to take care of here this morning, so I do have to jet. But just kind of a snapshot again. We got enough challenges we got to get through this week, and nothing major, but those little nuances, that will matter on travel and just how you need to prepare for your day, right? So we're going to work on this. Stay close to forecast changes. I'm sure there will be many as we head into the coming days. Okay, fair enough. See you guys coming up tomorrow, same time, same channel.